while we're waiting, I'll alert you to the fact that on your screen is, at some location, is a box where you can type questions, and you should feel free to type those out, submit them. I see them, and unless it is a question that needs immediate attention, what we usually have been doing is waiting till the end of the presentation and then address all the questions at one time. So it is 7:01, and I want to welcome everybody to Bucks County Scores Webinar Wednesday. This is the second part of a 6-part series on digital marketing, and tonight's topic is SEO, search engine optimization. As you may know, SCORE is a nonprofit national organization. We belong to SCORE Bucks County, and our mission is twofold. One is the education of small business and entrepreneurs, those looking to start a business or those in business looking to grow their business or facing hurdles and challenges. We are made up and composed of all volunteers. The majority of the SCORE members are retired or semi-retired, former business owners or executives, and our second mission is to provide face-to-face free mentoring sessions with entrepreneurs and small business owners to help them get started and to help them overcome these challenges. So without further ado, turn the program over to Drew Rigler. Drew will tell you a little bit about himself, but from a personal point of view, he is one of the most knowledgeable people I've come in contact with when it comes to this topic of SEO. He's also knowledgeable in other areas, but for tonight we're just tapping into his search engine background. So Drew, the floor is yours.
Great, Dave. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's my pleasure to do this for SCORE, and as Dave said, SEO is a big part of what we do. It is one of the backbones of my repertoire, so I am really looking forward to speaking about it. Again, my name is Drew Rigler. I'll go a little bit into what we're doing, a little bit about myself, my company, and then we'll dive into SEO, what it is, and what can help your business. So the top we're doing is SEO for business, how to actually leverage your SEO campaigns for success. So we're going to jump right in here. Let's get started here. So I will go a little bit about me. Again, Drew Rigler is my name. I am the owner, and I consider myself the director of digital marketing for Infinity Digital Agency. I have been doing digital marketing in one form or another for 15 years, plus actually, a little bit longer than 15 years. I did start by building websites when all you did was build websites. A long time ago, you just built a website and let it go. There really wasn't too much value in search, and people would put a sign on their door, their business cards, the newspapers, the yellow pages, the park benches, whatever it took to get your website seen. There was still the old ways of doing it, but it worked. A few years back, 8+ years or so ago now at this point, there was much more demand for search and digital marketing. People needed to rank in search engines. Search engines got their act together. Google really took over. At the point you still had Yahoo. People, their patterns for finding businesses changed, so they looked for ways to make sure that they were coming up. So I worked as a web designer, as a search marketer. I do have experience in large agency settings. I have worked on international campaigns. Do have much more focus on local businesses because those are the ones that are having the harder times finding success online. And as I said, much has changed in the last 15 to 20 years, and much more will continue to change over the course of the next coming years with the advent of the technology that's advancing. So about my company, some of the things that we do offer here at Infinity Digital Agency, again, is the search engine optimization. That is the bread and butter of what we do. We do have a big focus on local search optimization and, of course, web design and development. And as I get into the presentation, we'll actually go into how web design is a very key factor in making sure your SEO helps convert. We also do Google AdWords and pay-per-click management, things like Bing AdWords and Facebook ads, social media management and consulting, video photography, IT management. You'll see a long list there, but that last bullet point really truly hits home. We will do whatever it takes to help our customers. So if there is a new service or new technique that we know will help them do well online and get big wins, we will make sure that we become experts at it as best as we can to help them succeed. So we did a little bit about me, a little bit about our agency, now a little bit about search and the internet. Let's get back to the next slide here. Sorry, Dave, not switching over. There we go. All right, so a little bit about search and the internet. I don't know if these numbers, anybody has been familiar with how many searches that go on there, but these numbers are as of 2016. They have been revised for the end of 2016, so approximately 11 billion searches occur in the USA alone. So you can see that having a website is very key towards success. And a little factor that I didn't put in here, more than 50% of small business owners actually do not have a website still in 2017. The numbers may be shrinking, but around half of your competition, as small business owners or large business owners even, your competition doesn't have a website. So even just having a website is a key towards one step closer to success. So you can see Google is pretty much the leader. They process over 63,000 search queries every second. Now these numbers are worldwide. That translates to 5.5 billion searches per day and 2 trillion searches per year worldwide. So you can see making sure you're in those search results is important because that is where 96% of people are searching for their service or their product or their next purchase. So who rules search? Well, everyone here I'm sure has heard of Google. Google is the king of search, but they are not the only game in town. There are other ways people are finding businesses. Big one, their competitor is Bing. They have increased market share since 2014. They hold about 25% currently in the search market. The remaining percentages are still search engines like Yahoo, which will be going away eventually, AOL, DuckDuckGo, which is a very secure browser, so people are using that for anonymity and security. Desktop actually is losing search ground to mobile search. That's another big key. So as people are doing search and they're going through Google and Bing primarily, we're now seeing a focus of over 55% of all searches being done on mobile. It gives you the ability to really tailor your searches to your location. Before, you had to look for the yellow pages in the closet or under the couch. Then we moved to the desktop and having to go boot the computer up and wait for it to load. We're now literally in the parking lot of the mall and we have an idea of something we want to purchase, or we're in the basement with 2 feet of water and we're now calling and streaming for 24 hours. So we have much more freedom as users to find our services, which makes it much more important for us to be seen as business owners. The next side of that is also voice search. I don't know how many people have used voice search, but with growing voice search built into your phone and also the devices that are there, such as Siri, Cortana, Alexa, they are growing, and we're seeing different search patterns as a result of those voice searches. So that does change the game as well. So going through the different search engines, there's actually many different ways to find your site. So there's different paths that a customer or client can actually find to your site. So the traditional is nowadays people can look through social media, through direct mail. We all remember getting postcards in the mail about a business or flyers stuffed in the handle about a new pizza place. We have search engines. You have email marketing blasts, pay-per-click, which is the Google AdWords, and then the traditional ways that still exist, TV, newspapers, radio, podcasts, magazines, ads, etc. So there's many ways a customer can find your site. Obviously, your goal is to find the best channels that work for your business, and in many cases, there actually may be multiple channels. So you have to look at those multiple channels and resources and synergize them all together for a really good digital marketing strategy. And if you have a very succinct and tight strategy, your customers will be driven to your business. And obviously, I think the big focus here, the reason why we're here, and it should be the first and foremost in your mind, is having SEO at the forefront. So once you have a strong SEO campaign, you'll be able to move forward. So obviously, what is SEO? I believe it or not, as we look at our data and the search terms that come into our website, and even the phone calls that I get on a sales basis, the first question is, the first statement is, I was talking to my guy or this person or that person, and then they said I need SEO. Next thing they say is, well, what is SEO? So SEO, for those who don't know, stands for search engine optimization. Obviously, the broad term is you're trying to rank higher in search engines. So it's the things that you do, the changes that you make to your website to make it easier for the search engines to understand your content and what you're about. So a simple term for a very complicated process. But SEO isn't all about ranking. There's many more things that actually go into SEO that make ranking only one factor. So it's not only about optimizing your website to rank higher for your organic search results and your keywords. You also want to become an authority on the problem at hand and the solution you provide. So a good example would be going back to the plumber, or let's say a roofer. I'm a roofer. Maybe I'm a gentleman. I own a house. I just had a bad storm. The roof tiles come off, and I go ahead and Google how to fix my roof. Well, maybe I have a website that says, here's how you fix a roof. But guess what? I'm also a roofer. So now, as an authority, I'm going on there and I'm looking, and then I look at your services and I look at how you have expertise in the field for 25 years. You have Better Business Bureau. You have all these different things. You look like you're a premier player in the field. So now I'm looking at authority, and that's actually a factor with the search engines. They'll look at how people are interacting with your site, if they come back, if other sites are linking to you. There's many factors, and as you can see, I put there's a few hundred other factors that go into optimizing your website. So we will touch on all the important ones, but there are many other factors that you can do, that your competition may do, to make sure that your site is at highest presence in the search engines. So a big question is, I'm sure everyone has heard, you need to do SEO. Well, why do I need to do SEO? Well, SEO helps you get closer to your customers who are searching for your services, your product, what your business does. Proper SEO, if you're doing it right, actually helps the search engines to understand what you're doing and how to place you in front of those people that are searching for your product or service. Going back to the numbers, 93% of the people who are looking for a product or service are doing so on either Google or Bing or another service. So majority of the people that are looking for something are doing so and starting that process in search. So you can see, again, this is something you will need to do. So the scary thing is there could be a high cost. Of all the marketing channels that you have there, SEO is a very cost-effective strategy. It has a very good ROI and very good cost conversion. The other thing about SEO is it can continually evolves for greater opportunity. It's a dynamic process. It evolves just as the markets evolve. Things that I can tell you the truth, if I were to write a book in January 2016, by August 2016, much of that information is antiquated. So it's something that continually changes and continually evolves, and most of the time for the good. It does weed out the spammers or the scammers. So once done right, once done effectively and continually, you're looking at good returns for your investment. SEO also generates a high traffic rate of conversion. So you'll get your conversion rates versus your investment and see much better returns on that versus magazine ads or billboards or things of that sort that may have lesser marketable or measurable conversion rates. This translates to higher rates for visitor to sales conversions for your website. And honestly, the best answer to say, why do I need SEO? Your competition is doing it. It's the key to it is if you think you need to do it, if you know that it needs to be done, then someone else is already doing it, and you need to get in there and do it. So the typical SEO roadmap. Obviously, you're at a point where you're starting to learn SEO and learn what the acronym stands for and that it's potentially a good thing to do. So this is a typical process that most people go through. They start SEO. They either hire a digital marketing company or they do it themselves. They have a nephew who's working the summers home from school that they put in charge of it. But they start doing SEO. And once they start doing search engine optimization, they start ranking. They start seeing their site entering the Google search results. May not be the best on page 5 or page 10, but at least they're starting to move up and play. You're starting to see traffic. People are finding your site through the channels. They're finding it through Facebook, through search, through Google, through Bing, through pay-per-click ads. But from an SEO standpoint, you're starting to see the traffic and rankings coming in from your website. It's paying off. Those visitors that are coming to your site are now becoming paying customers. They're buying your services. They're signing up for your products. They're getting a new kitchen remodeling. They're doing landscaping. They're setting a new appointment at your law firm. So you typically will see that, and then you reach your goal. It isn't always as simple as that. Implementing an effective SEO strategy is not straightforward and not easy. It's basically there's I was discussing this with Dave prior to the discussion. There are, on average, 500 to 600 changes in the algorithm each year. So it is, again, something that continually changes and continually updates. So best I can say is SEO is just not a one-and-done thing. It's not something you do on January 1st and then don't do it May 15th. We'll go into some of the patterns and procedures with that, but it's something that if you're willing to take the risk and tackle it on your own, we'll give you some tips here to help your marketing efforts, get you in good shape. Make sure you don't make the wrong path, and make sure the roadmap you follow goes from start to your final goal. So how do I optimize SEO to increase my business? As you can see there, SEO is a continual process. Many factors do go into SEO, and as I said, there's over 200 plus that go into it each month that have helped me to increase my business. Again, SEO is done daily, weekly, monthly. It's a continual effort, and it does pay off. But before you can look at these results for the end goal, you need a strong foundation before you begin SEO for your website. You can't start doing SEO. You need to make sure you have the basics in place before you even jump in and hope to see anything, or else all your efforts will be wasted. I actually have an analogy that I speak to when I speak to a prospective client, and I try to do them in layman's terms, something that's an intangible, where SEO isn't exactly a tangible product. I cannot walk into their office with a box of SEO, drop it off, and say, here's your SEO for the month. I'll talk to you next month. So you have to measure it in ways that they can understand. And one way I try to say it is, you can't live in the penthouse if you don't have a strong foundation underneath you to support all the levels. So that essence is, everybody wants the penthouse. That's the great results. That's the perfect part. I want to be number one in this and that and all my keywords and see the best search traffic. That's the penthouse. But the part you have to lay down is that boring slab of concrete, that gray, dirty concrete that you never see again. But that's the part that helps every other layer that you're going to build in your SEO campaign be successful, be strong. So we look at those foundational factors and see what do we need to do. So we're going to go through a few steps here that are some of the basic implementations that you'll need to do right off the bat. They're given. If you miss any of these, you might as well just not do it because, again, these are a few 5 to 6 factors that we're going to go into that only are part of the efforts. So step 1, the most basic, a good site is key. I know it may sound a bit trite or redundant to say that, but it's more important than you can even realize. It's essentially your storefront. If you had a business, a brick and mortar business, and you were selling flowers, you wouldn't lock the door, you wouldn't put up signs in your front window that say closed for business, you wouldn't put up 3 flowers in the display case. So you have to think of your website as your brick and mortar outface to your prospective customers. You decorate it, you make sure it's easy to walk in, to navigate. So do you have a good website? That's the first key. It's the first thing a new customer will see, like I said. Is it ready to be seen? Do you have pages that aren't fully built out? Do you not have images? Do you not have great content? Does it have a clean layout? Is it optimized for a great user experience? Just because you have a website and it has an About Me and a services page, is it actually a great experience? Do I feel like I want to be on this website? A key little fact here is you have a 3 seconds to some website from the time they either find your results in the search and click on it or type in your address. You have 3 seconds to gain further action from that customer. So if there's something about that, whether it takes 5 seconds to load, well, most likely they're going to bounce out of your site and go to another competitor. Or it takes forever for images to load, or I can't find the menu, where's your phone number, how do I contact you? So again, it goes back to having a great user experience first and foremost. Communication is clear, proper message. Are you a plumber and you're talking about having 24 plumbing services, or are you just talking about being a great company that does good things? You want to make sure you're very concise, very specific with your message, and people understand it. You don't want to leave guesswork. In that 3 seconds to make an important decision, you want to make it as clear and concise as possible. Is it mobile ready? Going back to where I said more than 50% of the search is now on mobile devices. In our clientele, I see some of our industries that are in the 60 to 70% range for mobile search. Their traffic that's coming in on a monthly basis has gone to the point of almost 3/4 of their search traffic. Their traffic coming in is on a mobile device. So this could be an iPhone or an Android phone. It could also be a tablet. So it's a different experience. So you have to make sure, are you ready to handle that? Are you providing that experience that's unique to your desktop? And are you going to give them a good experience to be able to make that educated decision to go with you? So going back to we're going to try to outline a few tools today and point out some free and some paid tools and services that you can use to check your site and check your marketing. So 2 great tools that you could do to your current site, and even if you have a site that's redesigned by an agency, it's always good to do your check and balances with them to make sure that what you're getting from them is good. One is the Google Mobile Friendly Test Tool. It's a great tool. Just say, hey, I'm mobile compliant or I'm not. It is actually a ranking factor. You can actually have a penalty. As of 2015, I believe it was April 2015, if I remember correctly, it was called Mobile Get-In, and it was a actual penalty that came from Google that says, if your site is not mobile friendly, you will lose positioning, you will lose ranking, you will lose your search placement. For a while there was little markers in there that said mobile friendly, and then now it's pretty much, if you're not mobile friendly, you're really not going to be catching those results. Another thing is the development side. Code is important because you want a site to load fast, to load properly, to deliver the information it needs to. So you can look at another Google tool, which is the Page Speed Insights, and those links, if you get them from the presentation, we can always send them after. But the Page Insights will show you other issues that you can, it'll actually give you a list of scanned from your site of issues that are on your site that you can actually go back and have yourself or your developers fix to make sure you come back with good quality scores and get that foundation of your marketing.
Let me jump in for 1 quick second. I'm picturing people scrambling to write those links down. Rest easy. You will get a copy of the whole presentation afterward in a day or so. So don't worry about it. I'm sorry, Drew. Go ahead. Oh,
no. By all means, not a problem. All right. So I think we're at the end. No, I'm just kidding. Well, we'll jump right back in. So we have a great website. We did all the great things. We have a great design. We have a great mobile-ready, responsive, great content. I know when somebody lands there, they're going to find exactly what they want. So who am I competing with? You'd be surprised how many people we deal with who don't know their competition, or they assume it's somebody that is completely not their competition. I've dealt with a dentist who assumed it was the dental practice down the street. Now, they were a large practice. The person down the street was just an older dentist who was retiring in 6 months, had a very small practice, barely took customers. But to him, they were competition because they were closer. As we researched, we realized that, well, he didn't even have a website, and he had no interest in going online for any kind of marketing because he was retiring in 6 months and moving to Florida. So he didn't understand who his true competition was. So if you have your competition, you won't know what they're doing. You won't know where you need to be. So you want to make sure you analyze your competitors. It's key to understanding what needs to be done with your current website, because that's a great roadmap to be with to formulate your SEO campaign, is understanding where your competitor, who they are and where they're at. Look at your competitors in your area, in your field, who are doing your services, who show up for what you do. If you've been on a job or bid on a job in a service industry, you know your competitors. If you're a lawyer, you know your competitors. Landscapers know their competitors. Most local businesses should have an idea. If not, great way to do it. I know it sounds simple, but it's Google. Google them. How would you look for if you were looking for that service, how would you look for your service? Be as simple as just Googling it. If you still don't know your competition, there are tools to identify them. Some of the great tools that we use and we can recommend, SEMrush. It's actually a company local to Bucks County. They're based out of Feasterville, near the Chamonix Mall. They're actually a great software platform that they have. It does a ton of stuff. There is free version and also papers. You can list monthly. So if it's something that you're trying to research your competition, that's a great tool. You can look at SpyFu, SimilarWeb. You can set up Google alerts for your services and see who ranks for them. And like I said, Google what you do, see who comes up. Again, know your competition, know what they do, so you can identify where you need to be. So now I've got the great website. I've identified my competition. How do I start making sure I'm in the search? So what we do is we start building a keyword list. So based off of researching your competitors, you want to keep a list of terms that you've seen them come up for. A good idea is to keep a spreadsheet, an Excel sheet, or use Google Docs, which is free, and they have the spreadsheet there you can use to keep a list of your keywords. So keywords basically, or key phrases, are the way that search engines will actually know what you are about, know who they should send the information to. They can be short, they can be the word plumber, or they can be long phrases like basement or hot water heater repair, Doylestown, Pennsylvania. It depends on the type of market you're in, type of marketing you're doing, and the type of competition you're going against. And again, look at how you search. Look at your search patterns. How are you Googling something to find it? Go again, look at your competitor sites. See what sticks out to you. If they have a well-optimized site, if they're ranking first or second or third position, they're probably doing SEO. So you can go in there and look at their page and look at certain things that may stick out. You might actually be able to see the keywords within the page yourself and start seeing it. Once you start looking at a few competitors, start correlating the data there, and stuff sticks out, it makes sense. So once you have that data, you can use those research tools again to gain further advantage. And going back, we actually do have a few tools. And one I didn't put in the list I'm going to include that I came up with after. So going back, SEMrush is a great tool. Moz, which is actually started off as a SEO provider and has built some amazing software and does some great authoritative blogging and articles and videos on SEO. I can't recommend them even more. Another great tool is a tool called Ubersuggest, and what that does is it helps you find other relevant tools that will suggest that are within the keywords that you put in there. SpyFu, Keyword Spy, Google AdWords, Keyword Planner if you're in Google and you have AdWords. Some of the tools do have limited free options, so you can actually use them for free of charge to get some basic data. There are trials. Some have 7 or 14-day trials, or they have low-cost plans. And if you're listening, another tool that we like to use is a tool called Screaming Frog. It is the best name of all the tools that we use. I don't have any other tools that have that great of a name. But Screaming Frog is a SEO spider tool, and what it does is you can actually put your competitor's address in the tool, and it'll pull back all the pages, the page titles, the page address, their meta titles and descriptions, their H1, and we'll get into the different tags. It'll pull all that data out, so you'll be able to see how their site is actually formulated from an SEO standpoint, see the pages that they have. And the best part about Screaming Frog is it will actually crawl up to 500 pages for free. I believe it costs $19 for anything above and beyond. Most local SEO, most local businesses don't usually have websites that are over 500 pages, so it's actually something you can take advantage of for free and get a lot of great results. And again, that isn't in here, but we can provide links to that after the presentation. So, great website. We have our competitors. We have a keyword list. Now we're starting to arm ourselves. Now we're ready to jump on the web page and actually do on-page SEO. So you'll see between this and the next section, there are two facets to SEO in general. There's your on-page SEO, what you do to your site, and what you do off-site, which is the off-site SEO. So on-page or on-site optimization is the most important key to your SEO success. It's going to help you optimize your pages to rank higher, to provide more relevant results and get more relevant traffic from search engines. So the on-page refers to your content and HTML, different factors on your page that can be optimized, as opposed to the off-site, which is more external stuff like building and traffic back to your site. So you can use the research that we've done in these prior tasks to actually build quality content and come up with a great on-page strategy for your SEO. Some of the on-page factors, and these next few pages are going to be the key to understanding what some of the research that was done prior means. So you have meta tags. Those are literally, they reside in the head portion of your website that you don't see. It's basically the first thing Google sees. It communicates to Google what your site's doing. So you have two important meta tags, the title tag and the description tag. The title tag is the most important pet tag on your page. It's what shows up in the top tab of your website. It's what shows up in the search results. So if you ever Google something and you see the results, the first portion there that comes up, that is coming from most likely your title tag. Your description is also equally important. These are the areas you want to start implementing your keywords into your, so if you're a plumber based in Doylestown, you want your title tag to say plumber in Doylestown, or 24-hour plumbing services in Doylestown. See how this helped me, my keywords that I researched. Now I'm starting to implement them on my page. You also have heading tags. If you remember doing word processing back in college and you had to format your papers, and I know lawyers quite a bit used H1 and H2 tags in their briefings. So a heading tag basically just represents the most important and different sections. It structures it on your page. So I always use this example when I'm explaining it to somebody. So you have to think of H1 as your house, H2 as your living room, H3 as your couch, and you can continue down. H4 can be your pillow. So as you see, each one is a bit broader. It gets more focused as you go down to the, so in this example, H1 for a business would be remodeling services. My H2 tag could be remodeling services in Bucks County. I can add additional H2 tags if I want, or go to H3 and say kitchen remodeling services in Doylestown, Bucks County. So it can get very, very descriptive. That's going to help Google understand portions of my website, help me as I start indexing. One key here, though, is to remember the H1 tag. There should only be one per page. That is really going to be your primary broad of what you do for that page. So if you are a home remodeler on your home page, you could say home remodeling services. As you move to your individual services, they'll be identified through your H1. Only one H1. You can have multiple H2s. I usually recommend anywhere from 2 to 4. Depends on your content. If you don't have a lot of content, 1 or 2. If you have a lot of content, you can go to 4. Always follow the structure. H1 will always come in place of the H2, but very important. Some other on-page factors. Obviously, great content. Does your content include your keywords and phrases? Are you actually mentioning what you do in your service and your content? Is it easy to read? Is it properly formatted and user-friendly? Years ago, we used to write content strictly for the search engines. You wrote things in there that you knew, repeated keywords. The keyword density was 10% of your content was keywords. You repeated it as many times as you could. That was what worked. It wasn't exactly bad. It was a terrible user experience. Google has gotten smarter, semantic search. They understand synonyms of words now. Now they want you to write for a user. They want you to make the experience for someone who is reading that good, great. They don't want you to write for Google. So if you write in the right way, you are including your phrases, you are formatting with H1, H2 tags, your title's set up, your content is robust, you want at least 500 plus words on a page, you're going to deliver a good experience, you're going to get great integration and conversions from it. It'll help you out greatly. And your URL structure, that is a huge part that's ignored. We do build with WordPress primarily for our sites, and we do see clients building in WordPress, and a lot of times they'll use it to the default URL structure where you'll see things like an ID number or page55.html. You actually have to look at your URL structure as a key way to help Google also look at identifying what you do. So you are looking at keyword-rich keyword-rich URLs, or at least service-related. You don't want to go crazy and over-optimize. But an example would be website.com/kitchen remodeling, website.com about us, not, again, something generic or auto-generated. They are something that actually goes into the SEO of your on-page website. So again, continuing the factors, and if you'll notice the graphic there on the left, there are many factors that go into the on-page. We are touching on some, but there's more to go. The internal and external linking. So Google can crawl your site, obviously, and find different things, but also it needs to know other pathways through different sites, creating what's called a link flow through your site. So linking is actually important to on-site health. Internal linking helps your crawlability, helps people find what they're looking for, helps Google see what pages are the most important. How many internal links do you have to your services page or your About Us page? And another little piece of information, side note, generally your home page is obviously always going to be your most popular page, but most people don't realize, and this is actually one of the pages that gets the least amount of attention, traditionally the second or third, and most times the second highest trafficked page on your site is your About page, not your Services page. It can go for your homepage, Services, then About, or homepage, About, and Services. And why that means something is it shows that these trust factors go into what we do. So having a good About Us page is key to making sure you're providing a good way of validating who you are, what you do, putting the faces to the business, the addresses, the 25 years in business. So making sure internally that you're linking to that page quite a bit, it shows that you have good validity to that page, and you want to make sure that Google sees that as important too. Another thing, I won't go too much in detail with this so we can move to the other important things, but structured data, schema markup. So this is a specific vocabulary of tags, microdata. If you've Googled something and you've seen the box to the right come up with pictures and a map, that knowledge graph that comes up, that is coming from structured markup and schema. So what that does is that actually helps the represented search and rankings. It's part of what's on the future. It is something that more and more sites are starting to implement, and it's become something that is a must now, and we are doing it ourselves on every site. Okay, so all the other factors that came before this, we've now done our on-page. We're ready, we're online. What do we do now to get off-site stuff taken care of? So this is where most of the continual process occurs. So a lot of what we discussed before can be done on occasion. A lot of it is front-loaded. Your off-site SEO is literally what you're doing every day, week, month, on a regular basis. It also gets a little trickier from here because this does require, like I said, the ongoing effort, and you are trying to out inbound links from highly respected external sources. Back in the old days of SEO, which was 5 years ago, or more even, you built quantity of links, and you could have 10,000 links back to your site from all different sources, directories in Singapore, a Chinese herbal shop, whatever it is. It didn't match your local law firm or landscape business or what you were doing, but they were links. So Google got smart years ago, and they came up with penalties to make sure that we want quality links over quantity, and that's the way it should be, honestly. So again, this can be done in many ways, but the best ways are creating good content that can be shared and linked from. So you want to link out to good content. You want good content linking back to you. And this changes the perception of link building. It's extremely important. This goes to where the link quality matters, and it is still one of the most important ranking factors for offsite SEO. So you can think of link building and backlinks as a popularity. When Google, this was something that whoever had the most links had the highest position. So if you had 30 links, you ranked number 1. You had 25, you ranked number 2. So now it's who has the best links, who has the most relevant links backing to them. And this is the key point here. Good links can help greatly, or bad links can hurt greatly. So you can have bad links back to your site, and you can actually be penalized for that. You can actually fall under link penalty, be removed from Google, see your rankings drop. So this is something not to be taken lightly. You must make sure that your links and your backlink profile is in order, in shape, and you're continually achieving good links. And before we continue with this slide, it is a process. It's not like the days where you could just buy links or pay links or build links. You can spend months, weeks, days trying to achieve just one link, but that good quality link can pay off more than 12 bad links. So again, I can't stress it enough. Link building is important. Other strategies for offsite SEO, you could guest blog on a relevant site. So if you're a plumber and you find somebody who's blogging about home repair and home remodeling, you could write a blog about how to check your pipes for wear. You can contribute that, get links and keyword links back to your site, which will help you because they're relevant. Podcasting, bookmarking, reviews are a great source. Reviews from Yelp and reviews from Google Business are good. Building infographics. Another way to deliver information instead of writing the content down is to come up with a great infographic that displays what you do and get some good engagement. Press releases are good. They're not what they used to be. They were abused, so they took a hit. I would say they're still good use if there's good content of value. You could do interviews. If you do interview in a local paper and they have a website, they link back to your site. We have clients that love the PR, love the press. We work with a PR agency to get our clients some outlets out there for whether it's local paper or the local Bucks County Courier-Times. They'll have links back to your site. Great way to put the business, build the brand, and also help your SEO. And you can get contests. Contests are good too because then people will share it and then try to get that back to your site. So some tools you can use to help build your offsite strategy. Again, there's that SEMrush. You'll see that that's a very versatile tool for many different things. There's a tool called Ahrefs, Majestic SEO, Moz. All will track your backlink profile and those of your competitors. So best way to say it is if you see it in your competitor's link profile, then you want it, most likely, if it's a good one, and you want to go get it. So you want to go after the relevant high-value links. So a good way to start formulating your offsite strategy is to going back to your competitive analysis and your competitive research, understanding where your competitors are linked at, and start seeing the profile that they're building and integrate those strategies into your site and your campaigns. If you're local SEO, there's a great source of getting links right off the bat, and those are called local citations or citation building. They're good for local SEO because they point back to your site. Some examples, and many of you as business owners have probably been harassed by a few of these, and I won't mention any names. An example, Yelp. So a citation is an online reference to your business name, address, and phone number, or what we call the NAP. That is something you want uniform across every website. So if your address, phone number, and your business name, you want them the same everywhere so that you get uniformity. Those links will link back to your website. Google will use those as well as a way to evaluate your online authority. So Yelp reviews, Google My Business reviews, things like that. They're helping build your online authority. Those profiles link back to your site. And also, if you're doing SEO, you should be engaging in some sort of active social media. A good way is if you are blogging and writing content on your site and you're building additional content, you're sharing those posts on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you think is best for your brand. It helps you engage your current customers to build your brand, to build that loyalty and repeat business. You're not going to get current clients today. If I put an ad on or a post on social media, I'm not going to get a client today. But what happens is my current clientele will see that I have a social media page, a Facebook page. They'll go follow me. They'll start liking my posts. Maybe one of theirs sees it and they say, hey, I should check them out and see if I can take advantage of their services. So that's great for long-term strategy. It's the long game a lot with SEO and especially with social media. All right, so we're getting towards the end here. So as we're engaged here with all the different on-site and off-site and competitive and keywords and great building website, now that I'm in there and part of my my SEO path is I'm starting to see these results. How do I sync and track my data? Let Google know about your site. Track your engagement. Understand. So there's tools that Google actually gives you for free. It's called Google Analytics, and there's a couple other tools. But one of the most missed pieces I see as we get a client that comes into us and we do our analysis before we set our meetings is we look for Google Analytics, and a lot of times they don't have it set up or it's set up improperly. So they've been in business 6 months, a year, 2 years, and they have no idea where their traffic is coming from. So Google Analytics is a must, and actually it's one of those SEO factors that goes into your site ranking. Again, Google's going to rank you, and if you're not using their tracking product, they're going to give you a ding for not installed. You also want to look at utilizing Google Search Console, which also used to be called Google Webmaster Tools. Again, Google Analytics, and there's also Bing Webmaster Tools, which is kind of a combination of Google Analytics and Google Search Console. The way I look at it is if there's still 25% of potential traffic there, we don't want to ignore Bing. The old days, the joke was there's a good place to hide a dead body. It's page 2 of Google and page 1 of Bing. And I'm sure there's a few laughs going on, hopefully, but if not, I'll move on. So that was the old days. Nowadays, Bing is integrated into the Alexa. It's integrated into some of the voice search tools. So you are seeing more. So you do want to make sure you optimize and get yourself in there too. So all these different tools will help you to track your visitors, to help your site get indexed, to track the traffic sources, understand where the traffic's coming from, your site flow, the users, the terms of entry, and much, much more. And again, the more information you get, we look at data constantly. And understanding the data, and I was speaking to Dave about this and how we were looking at data to be able to diagnose a problem for a new client that they had with 3 different agencies that they couldn't figure out. We looked at the data and within 1 day understood what their problem was and started saving them hundreds of dollars a day and at this point thousands of dollars a month in their marketing because they didn't read the data. The data is the key to success. So what should you track? Obviously there's lots of data to look. So as we said, when you're in Google Analytics, you want to look at your news sessions and visitors, your bounce rate, time on site, site flow, your audience, your traffic sources, acquisition. Do you have goals set up? Again, it's going to be hard to follow all those, but the presentation will once you see it, you'll be able to go into Google Analytics and see that. But each one of those facets, especially like acquisition, I can look and see percentage of my 100% of my traffic. I can see if 50% came from Google Organic, 50% came from direct traffic. I have referral traffic, which is traffic from another website. I can see where my traffic is coming from and skew my marketing efforts to either bolster those results or make sure where I'm weak, I'm enhancing those efforts. Going to Google Search Console and Bing Webmaster Tools, one big factor with that is submitting your sitemap XML. Now what that is a XML file that is the sitemap of all your pages on your website. By submitting that to Google, you're not allowing them to wait to crawl your site. You're telling them, here's my website, here's my pages. As you make changes, you're resubmitting that, getting your crawl rate up, and you're making sure that Google knows, here's your website, here's the pages, here's when we added new pages, make sure you start getting us indexed. They also allow you to look for site errors, 404 errors, which is page not found. Maybe you didn't know we had a client that accidentally uploaded demo content to their website, didn't realize they had 65% of their website pages was demo content from a website theme that they built, that they bought and uploaded. So you can find site errors, you can track terms that are coming into your page. So very, very valuable tool. And you also probably want to track your keyword ranking and positions. So when you have the keywords, you will see where are you actually start day one, start tracking your keywords and your ranking positions along with your analytics. And all these tools will have hierarchical data that you can go back and look at, and historical data that you can go back and look at from day 1 to day 350 and see where you've progressed. You'll see spikes. You'll be able to identify eventually algorithm changes, patterns, see how you're growing your marketing efforts, and actually know that you're doing the right thing. All right, so as we're nearing the end here, we've gone through 6 different topics, lots of information, only scratching the surface, but at least great points to start with. So that's what you should do. Now, what do I do to help my business? How does all that actually start helping your business? Because that's the goal. The goal isn't to just sit there and write content and sit back and be happy you just put 500 words about plumbing. You want to see return. You want your ROI to pay for itself. You want to make new sales, grow your business over the previous month and year. So like I said, there's a lot that goes on doing SEO properly. It is overwhelming. For someone like myself, I am the kind of person who looks at life as a buffet. There's always something different to try. There's always something to do. So with internet marketing, digital marketing, and SEO, there's always something to do and always something to change. And the most savvy of marketers and business owners know that SEO is not a one-time service. It's an ongoing process. It's something, and we'll skip ahead there. The average recommended time that you see across the industry, if you're a business owner, that you should be doing SEO, and again, SEO and digital marketing encompasses all the different facets, is anywhere from 1 to 2 hours a day, and you usually see it averaged out about 1.5 hours. So you should be thinking about putting 1 to 2 hours per day into your site, whether it's links or blogging or checking your content, resubmitting your site through Google. And again, one missed piece in everything that we discussed can mean the difference between being first on page 1 or being last on page 10. So again, continual. So SEO never stops. It's literally, the internet is 24/7. So it's not waiting for you to update your page 2 days from now or 2 weeks from now. Literally, there's only one #1 spot. The internet's always on. Everybody wants to be #1, and your job is to try to take over that king of the mountain and rank in that position. So some key points to optimize your SEO for your business. Check your data and analytics regularly. Like I said, we live in the data. We are checking our clients' data every day, every week, multiple times a week, multiple times a month. You're looking at it to understand patterns and see where the traffic everything that we're working on is making sure it works. Track your competitors regularly, because the best thing I can say is if you smell smoke, there's probably fire. You may identify some competitors initially, but there may be people that are going to crawl up, and there will be people that will crawl up at the end there and will try to take over where you're at. So just besides monitoring your current competitors and seeing where they're getting their wins and gains, make sure you're looking at the lower end guys that are trying to come up at your position. Continue link building. It can take days to months to get a good quality link. Never stop it. Never stop looking at link building. And blog once a week, 3 times a week, whatever you could do to spare or at least have done for your blog. The more relevant content that you have on your site, the better it will be for search results, the better engagement you will get from potential customers and clients. Let's move to the next slide. All right. What do we do? All right, one more back here. Sorry about that, guys. All right, some other key points to optimize your SEO. Add new content to your site. So just because you've built a great 10-page site for your business and you have all your services on one page doesn't mean you're done. So we talked about blogging, and blogging does add new content to your website. So you want to look at, have you broken out each service? Do they have their own page? Are you adding new content, service areas? Is your site evolving? You have to think of marketing as when it rains. You have rain that goes over to a puddle. You have rain that goes into the stream. So what we're looking at is we want to be the site that turns into the stream that runs and flows and keeps moving, not the puddle that gets dusty and dries up. Also, for fresh content, if your site is old, you've had content the same for over 6 months old, and I would say 12 months is a good key place to be. So if you have the same content for a year, refresh it. Freshness is good. And keep an eye on those title tags. Sometimes your title tags may not work, and you may want to experiment with some revisions. And I think we're getting close to the end. Some other key points, check your citations. Has anything changed? You know, going back, and especially if you're a local business, I mentioned how important those citations are to you. Make sure if you changed a phone number, added a phone number, changed your address, something has changed, business name, make sure you update those. Otherwise, you know, that information is going to lose relevance and it's going to hurt you. And check your backlinks. Going back to those tools, as you're building those links, go back and make sure those links, they still are there, that they haven't changed, that they're not causing any value. Are they relevant? Do you have good text on there? Make sure that you understand marketing coming back to you. There we go. So let's go back one more time here. Final thoughts. It takes a lot, huh? And that's an understatement. What I could say is don't let all this discourage you. I know when we talk to customers, and I had a potential client come in here that we just signed today, and they came in last week, and they both left with a scared look in their eye. And I tried to console them and say, listen, you know, you did know this, but it's not like it's something that you can't climb. It's a hill that you can climb. So some SEO is better than no SEO. Good SEO is better than bad SEO, and some SEO is better. Again, on the other side, bad can destroy your efforts. So you do want to be careful doing what you do. So again, there is assistance out there, whether it be free or paid, so a consultant or an agent can help steer you in the right direction, or at least take over handling your campaign properly. So besides actually hiring an agency, you can actually hire consultants that'll come in and give you all the information you need. So because you need to run your business, that's the biggest thing. Is the old adage is you need to work in your on your business, not in your business. And it's the same thing here. If you need to consider outsourcing or consulting as an option versus losing control and going down the wrong path, or just not doing it at all, then consider getting help, because it's gonna be a good thing. So bottom line, as we're nearing the end here, the bottom line I can say is you must always remember that SEO is an uphill battle. But if you stay on top of the updates, always make sure that you're revisiting your content, your backlinks, your strategies, you're looking at your competitors, you will succeed with your campaign. You will see success. The efforts will return value. They will pay off for you. And while all these tips won't work for everyone, a lot of them will give you the right guide, the right direction, and help you with your strategy. And I think we're at the time limit, so I think we have back to Dave.
Yes.
Questions.
Thank you, Drew. You certainly presented a lot of very good material. I want to remind everybody that the next step is that we have recorded this whole session, both obviously the audio and the video. It takes overnight for it to process. I have no idea what it does. And then tomorrow or Friday, I will send you a link to be able to view the webinar on YouTube. So I don't know that there's several people have noted that the presentation was nicely done. It was good information. I don't see any specific questions. I just want to augment a little bit what Drew said from my point of view, is that we've spent, first of all, if you don't have a website, you know, excuse me, if you don't have a website, get in that parade really quickly because it's passing you by. But assuming that you have a good website, you want to make sure that it fits the requirements and you fulfill some of the points that Drew pointed out for a quality website. And then if you have a website, you want people to find it. And the way they find it is through or whatever the percentage was, 90% of them use Google. And we've all used Google ourselves. You put a search term in and websites come up. I don't know about you, but I very rarely ever go to page 2 of the search results. So you want to have your website at least on page 1.
And Dave,
yes,
the actual rule, their biggest rule of thumb is most people don't go below 5 or 8 results. Okay. So even on page 1, they're stopping.
Right. So and that's where the whole SEO comes. The importance of SEO is to optimize that search. So and a lot of it is very technical, as we've heard, but there are consultants. There are people that you may know that can help you at least get started to try to do some SEO. And in any event, I think we all understand that. There is one question. This person asked, I have a website, Drew, I have a website but use GoDaddy for marketing I guess for marketing business trips or bus trips, I'm not sure, via email list. Is that just as effective?
No, it's a complete. The GoDaddy SEO packages specifically, they're very underwhelming, and they don't utilize a lot of SEO. I mean, it's very, very basic. It won't give you the, as you can see, there's 200 factors that burn daily. So it's been a while since I've actually experienced any of the specific GoDaddies. From an email marketing standpoint, email marketing is always a smart. We actually we have a partner company that is built they've been doing for 35 years email marketing and email lists, and there still is a demand for that. But the key is that inbound marketing versus outbound marketing, and where the future is. And now we have to put our presence out there with the websites. So to say that you could be doing better efforts with that, and sometimes that money doesn't get well spent, doesn't give you a good ROI, but you have to be determined of that too. So I can't say whether that works for you. Email marketing may be a good idea, but SEO may be a much better idea. It's based off of your return on investment and the amount of effort that goes into it versus email marketing.
Thank you. I hope that answers your question, Diana. Another person asked, what do you have a recommendation for the preferred internet provider?
Preferred internet, as far as like Comcast or?
I suppose. I'm not sure.
That's not as, okay, well, I'll try to answer more maybe this way. If you're talking about like website provider, website hosting, there are, maybe that's the question. As far as internet providers, that doesn't factor into search or anything like that. But from a search SEO standpoint and your site being hosted, that actually is key, because you want your site to load fast and be able to handle the traffic that comes to your site. So as far as recommendations, I can tell you I have used pretty much everyone out there with measurable success or measurable frustration. We're currently using A2 hosting. I have used Bluehost, HostGator, GoDaddy, Network Solutions, all the ones out there. It does pay to do research. We have a preference for A2 just because I like their technology, and we have not had an issue in 3 years. So that's a recommendation. Again, that's A2 hosting. I've had some good results with Bluehost and had bad results. So the key is doing your research, looking at the plans. The plans, then that's another thing too, is the next whole other argument is you can have a good host, but you also have to pick the right plan. One plan that's going to be able to handle your traffic and not crash out. So it's a little bit of a weighted answer.
We have a couple more minutes before we get knocked off, and there's a couple more questions that are floating in. The question is, I see a lot of websites with a random box in the bottom corner with keywords. Does this help, and should he or she be adding this?
Quick answer, no. I would love to see those sites and see what their positioning is. So, yes, some of the tricks that you've seen, which is there's three hats that are worn in SEO. Basically, there's white hat, gray hat, and black hat. And it harkens back to the old cowboy days, obviously, with white hat cowboys being better than the black hat cowboys, and the grays walk the middle line. So you would do things where you would put keywords, white text on white background. You wouldn't see it, but Google would still index it. So things that are frowned upon now are stuffing keywords, or keyword stuffing is a bad thing. Throwing in every zip code and every city you have services on and every page, hoping that helps you with ranking, but that actually hurts you. So any of these boxes or anything in the bottom with extra keywords just thrown in there, and I don't know if that's maybe a tag, like in WordPress they have the tags and sometimes they throw that in there. I would not do that, because let's just go back, and if it's keyword stuffing, that's extremely bad. If it's a WordPress site that has the tags, which is a way to tag your content, if it's not configured right with your going back to your sitemap and what you submit to Google, you could be resubmitting the same content multiple times and then actually wind up having duplicate content issues and maybe even a penalty. So I do not recommend that. No, not at all.
Good, thank you. Another question: do I need to periodically request that Google and Bing recrawl my website?
Well, once you resubmit your sitemap on occasion, Google and Bing both set what's called a crawl rate, and you can change your crawl rate going into the Webmaster Tools, now called Search Console, and adjust that. You can let Google determine it, or you can search or do that. One good way to adjust your crawl rate is going back and going back to what we discussed. Every time you change your site, resubmitting that sitemap to Google, and then it'll establish that you have new content. It'll recrawl your site, and then index any new content. As you establish patterns of doing it once a week, once a day, once a month, Google then will organically adjust that and start crawling your site at a more regular interval. So it is good to go ahead and push that through on your own versus waiting for Google to naturally do it, because it could take weeks or months before they finally come back if you wait for them. So it's best, every time we post a blog, we resubmit our sitemap to Google to let them know we got some fresh content here, it's good, come take a look at it, because we want to make sure that we get noticed for it. Good,
thank you. And our last question is, you mentioned getting dinged by not using Google Analytics. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's a free tool that you can install in Chrome or Firefox called Google Tag Assistant, and it'll tell you if you have Google Analytics or not. But the best way I can say it is Google's all about data. They use the data from search to also help with PPC. They also want you to understand that you're, a lot of these things that we're talking about, it's like jumping through hoops. If you do this, then you'll get this. When you go to school, you take home ec so that you can become a lawyer. So you have to take the classes you don't need to get what you want. So the quid pro quo here is you want to understand your traffic and your data. You be able to track your sources. So Google and those 200 plus implements that goes into SEO, one of the factors is making sure you have the basics, and Google Analytics is part of the basics. So having the code installed and also installed properly with the script is a point of ranking. So they're not going to rank a site that doesn't have Google Analytics over a site that does. So if you're looking at, again, foundational stuff, if you're making soup, you have to add certain things into the recipe to be able to make it, or else it's not going to taste good. And these are part of that factor. So getting dinged means losing position, having multiple factors that you can get dinged at. So they look at one factor, then they start looking at other factors. Multiple factors, you're just going to not get even place in the search.
Good, thank you, Drew. Okay, again, thank you everybody for attending. You'll get an email with a copy. I do want to mention I'm most impressed with whoever thought of the name Screaming Frog should get some sort of an award, because that's not one you have to write down to remember. What a great name for a website. I'm not giving them a plug, I'm just saying it's a cool name. 2 weeks from now, the webinar Wednesday will have as our topic email, how to improve it, how to get more contacts in your mailing list, and how to grow your business with email. So check your email for the details on that. And thanks again, and thanks to Univest for sponsoring these Webinar Wednesdays. And we are out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew.